Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about Rainbow Brite coming back. Yeah, she's coming back as a movie and a TV show for modern audiences.
Yeah, for the 40th anniversary. Now, I mean, it's CG, you know, obviously, and she looks like Rainbow Brite. She looks cute.
Yeah.
Is it Twink now, or is it Twinkle, or they keep changing it? It was Twink.
Rainbow Brite and her BFF Twink. I mean, that means something totally different.
I know now, but you know what I mean. At the time,
we're gonna talk about this because I mean, design wise, it looks fine. We did review the last attempt at a Rainbow Brite reboot on this channel years ago. It was one of the only comics I think we've ever reviewed on the channel, and it was because it was one of the most ill-conceived reboots of an 80s property that I've ever seen in my entire life. I was just like, what the hell are you doing? They had a Rainbow Brite comic from Dynamite Entertainment, and it was nothing like Rainbow Brite.
Yeah, I don't know how it got that high in ratings, because I read this thing. You didn't even get a Rainbow Brite at all. It didn't even show up to like the end of the second book or something like that. It's the second comic. It was like way into it before it even shows up. And it was just lame. It was just stupid.
Like, this is not Rainbow Brite. It
was current year, exactly what you expect.
Yes, it was definitely a different take, and like they had the color kids in it, but like one of them was Groot, and I'm like, what the hell is this? It was basically like it could have literally been any other comic. Anyway, let's talk about this. We'll talk about this, and we'll talk about some other spiritual successors, I guess, to 80s stuff, and we're going to talk about some brushable hair. This is pretty cool.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. But before we get into any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. You get a woohoo if you do. Woohoo.
I'm going to let Geeky talk about this one.
Okay, so there's not much to say. We don't know much yet. Okay, so Cray Studios and Hallmark are teaming up for this. Now, Cray Studios, I guess, is behind the merchandising and licensing for it.
Okay.
Okay, and then they're going to have the people... Now, people behind the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, the producers, are going to produce the film version of this as well for Cake Entertainment.
Okay.
Or no, that's a different group. The Cake Entertainment's the one doing the TV series. But this is why I'm worried. It's focusing on friendship, teamwork, and the power of color and optimism to overcome darkness and negativity. That sounds fine. It sounds like the original show. But they also mentioned that it has a contemporary appeal. So you tell me that's their way of saying modern audiences, and now I'm concerned.
Yeah, this is the problem.
It looks like Rainbow Land.
It does. Actually, this, of all the reboots that they've done with Rainbow Brite, this one looks the closest to the original, right? But yeah, anytime they talk about like a reimagining for a modern audience, that used to mean something different 10 or 15 years ago. It used to mean like, oh yeah, well now the characters have cell phones. Now they're, that's what it meant. Now it's like, oh, now we're going to
They live in Rainbow Land, so I'm concerned.
We're good. Yeah, right. Here's the thing. I don't know if they would be dumb enough to do that now, because there is definitely a pushback, especially when it comes to classic franchises, of making significant changes to those franchises. If they go back to basics, and this is Rainbow Brite from the 80s, this is what she is, this is what she does, the color kids, and they fight Murky and
some of the kids, and all the color kids were, they're color kids, obviously, but they weren't all white, coded either. We had different colored color kids.
Can you say that?
We did.
We did.
So because they're going to try to spin it that, here we go. It's a show that, is bad because they're all white, and that's diversity. It's like it already was diverse. It was back then.
Rainbow Brite was black.
I was going to say that, the voice actress. I was going to mention that.
Yeah. Rainbow Brite, Bettina Bush, I think was her name. She has a podcast or something now, but she's black. She's a little black girl playing Rainbow Brite, and we didn't know in the 80s. Nobody cared. It didn't matter. Like, nobody cared. We didn't care.
Totally didn't matter.
It was just like I found out like years after the fact. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Moving on.
But I'm just worried. I'm really worried about the contemporary appeal being the new terminology for modern audiences. That's what makes me a little concerned. Because the synopsis basically sounds like the original. It looks like the original. So far you have me. You have me kind of like, okay, this is going to be cute. But if you really start pushing crap, like, I'm not going to be happy about it. I'm just going to be like, this is stupid. Can we just, do a new show? I'm hoping by contemporary appeal, they just mean that it's, updated for kids today, meaning that's more like in like, the language, the way they talk, or the way what they would use technology wise, not because of other reasons. But
well, it's encouraging that we don't have Twink's pronouns.
Well, I'm just saying they still calling it Twink though because
I think so because the new toys this actually explains a lot. This
that's
explains
what I was going to mention.
Yeah, it explains a lot because there have been new Rainbow Brite toys and they are
they're loyal subjects, right?
Loyal subjects, and they're going back to the originals and they're keeping the names. It's not Twinkle or Twinkie or whatever the hell they call them. Yeah, this was one of the worst. I mean, I seriously was like, what the hell? I mean, you want to talk about a bait and switch. And they've got like the classic.
That was one of the covers, the variant art.
The classic art, and then it turned out that it was like a completely. I don't even think they showed much of the comic, but it was nothing.
Yeah, there's whatever they call Twinkie now or Twinkle or whatever the heck they call it.
But this didn't even have the color kids or anything in it. They was like they were aliens.
Oh, was it Wisp? Wisp, that was called?
No, Wisp is Rainbow Brite. Was that Rainbow Brite?
Oh, was that her name? Yeah.
It was
that
so
name was Willow. Or her friends. Okay, I don't know.
I don't remember.
I just
remember being really bad and really cringy.
And we were trying to be really fair about it and give it a shake, and then we're like, what the hell is this? But I can tell you that it's back to Twink because I bought the purse recently. I bought a Sprite purse. It's Twink, and it was called Twink the Sprite.
Yeah.
So I think I will proudly carry my Twink around, and it's fine. My daughter is very entertained by the fact that its name is Twink. But
I don't go anywhere. I'm a very progressive girl. I don't go anywhere without my Twink.
I mean, I just think it's funny. Which brings me to this. So we're talking the Monster High creator, Garrett Sander. He created Monster High, and then I don't know. Mattel still has it, but he's not there.
Yeah, I get the. I don't know the whole story on that, but I get the vibe that there's some shenanigans, and he's no longer involved.
I don't know, but we knew he was working on this because he's been at PowerCon before, and he was talking about this at PowerCon.
Very nice guy.
Yes, so he's doing his own line of toys. They're called Gravestone Guardians. They look like they're minus of She-Ra dolls.
Yes.
Mattel, take notice of the brushable hair.
Just
point that out. So they're a cross between Monster High dolls and She-Ra, but they're the same size as like the She-Ra or the Masters of the Universe figures, like 5.5 inches.
Yeah.
So they're the same size as them. Has a bunch of accessories. And I guess there's some stretch goals. There's different dolls. One's a glitter based one. One's that has the metal wrap on it. But they have different characters you go down. They have different characters. Oh yeah, here's the glitter one. There's a metallic one. And then let's go down. You'll see the picture of it. They're talking about the campaign, but here's some of the different characters they have. So they have a swarm army and the Gravestone Guardians. I mean, let's be fair. It's kind of like Draculaura. You know, there's a Frankie, a Cleo, a Claudine, but you know what I mean. They look really cute, and they're 5.5 inches. He's doing a crowdfunder now. It's on backer kit. The bad guys are only 3 of them.
That's okay. Nobody wants to play with the bad guys.
That's not thigh gap right there, but you know.
Anyway.
But these dolls, at least the first one, and possibly Bolt, I think is the name of it. Or no, it's not Bolt, it's Bolt something. Is this one here. That one is if it says stretch goal, they'll do both dolls. But they're on crowdfunder now, backer kit. I just thought it was neat because they're trying to do a new line, but it definitely is based on She-Ra.
Boltessa.
And Monster High. Boltessa. I knew it was Bolt something. Yeah, there's the glitter one. If you go down, there's a metal wrap one.
Because that actually reminds me of the one.
The Chrome. Entrapped Him.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So yeah, so these were they're crowdfunding. He's crowdfunding these now. So I don't know if you want to support independent toy creators, and he seems like he's trying to base it on She-Ra. He brings up She-Ra and those kind of dolls up and Golden Girls and stuff many times in his promotions on Facebook, and he compares them. You can tell definitely it was a inspiration.
Yeah.
But he's trying to get 45,000. He's only at 8,400.
Toys are expensive.
It's very expensive.
It's very expensive to make toys. Like a lot of people complain that when you have an independent toy company that they seem to reuse the same mold over and over and over again. I'm like, yeah, you know what they had to pay for that? Thousands of dollars.
Well, interestingly enough, I don't think he's not using the same mold because the other doll, the Boltessa, is a stretch goal.
Yeah.
And if you look at her, I don't know if she's on here on this one. You have to go to the campaign, but she's a different mold, I believe.
Yeah, they look like they're not like the same parts. Like a lot of Mattel, especially like with the early Masters of the Universe, they basically had like 3 or 4 different body types, and they would just swap parts and then add different accessories to them to make new characters.
You can't see the back of her, but her hair comes together in a heart in the back. Like two pigtails comes into a heart.
Oh, the one thing I like about, and that was PowerCon in general. I don't know if they're coming back.
No, they said they were.
Oh, they are coming?
Yes.
I was kind of concerned they weren't coming back, but we went 2 years in a row when they were in Ohio, and I was just amazed at all the independent toy creators.
It's really cool. If you like independent toy creators and want to support independent, that's the place to go to because they have a lot of them there.
And the cool thing about that is a lot of times, like the stuff that we grew up with, it's been lost to some corporation, and they just kind of do with it whatever the hell they want to do with it. And we have a lot of people that grew up with that stuff making their own, and a lot of times there are some really cool spiritual successors to the toy lines that we loved. But yeah, kind of that spirit of like, this is something you definitely would have seen in the 80s or 90s. Mm-hmm. And, there just isn't, like, none of these toy companies are taking chances anymore. They really aren't. They're just kind of going back to the same well again and again. Hence, Rainbow Brite again. I mean, it's cool. It's cool to see it because you're like a big Rainbow Brite fan. But
I was, I'm still going to give it the benefit of the doubt until I see more. I don't mind that. I mean, it's obviously geared for kids. It's clearly geared young, which the original one was as well. I mean, even though Star Stealer is pretty darn creepy in places.
That movie was actually pretty badass. Like, I think they kill the princess at the end.
Yeah, she like tries to ram her ship into the diamond planet. Like, I'm trying to remember. It's been years, and then it gets blown up or something.
Yeah, like it was so weird. Like back in the 80s, we had these girls' toy lines, and like even My Little Pony was kind of badass, and Jem was kind of badass, and they did it because a lot of times the brothers were watching, so they knew they had to keep their attention. But they used to run the Rainbow Brite movie on HBO all the time. I just thought it was cool. It was like, wait,
girls just like badass stuff too. Anyway.
But no, I was like, hey, they got a boy with a freaking robot horse. Onyx. I was like, that's pretty cool. He's got like a freaking laser
Onyx
horse.
Was cool. I liked Onyx.
And it was cool because it was like a science fiction movie, and here it was based on these dolls. It's just weird. My Little Pony, the first pilot episode, they basically fight Satan. And Care Bears are fighting a demonic book, and
I know, right?
It's like all this stuff is.
So we're getting possessed. It was the whole thing.
So we had this whole thing going on in the 80s, and then
Marlena was possessed by Satan on Days of Our Lives in the 80s and 90s. So
she must have been playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Probably, Tank Panic got her. So anyway, it's interesting that they're bringing another one back. I'll be honest, I'm not holding my breath because every time they do this, they find some way to screw it up. But hopefully, it gets it right. Again, if you want to back something else like She-Ra adjacent, or Monster High adjacent, there's the Gravestone Guardians. I just want to make sure I gave them a shout out because they're kind of cool, and they're called the Ghoulverse, which it is very similar to the Monster High, but they clearly took a She-Ra inspiration with it as well. And it has brushable hair.
Yeah, I think it's
very important.
It's very important. More figures need brushable hair. So there we go, guys. We got to wrap this up.
Yes.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.
Join the reef. Go to clownfish-.com. That's clownfish-.com. You will get exclusive access to podcasts and videos and comic strips and more, as well as merch discounts. Check it out. If you were a member, you could get this t-shirt, this dismal t-shirt. On our website, you'd get a 10% discount on that. You can also join in the community on clownfish-.com. Thank you so much for the support.